I'm going to use a few weird but hopefully sensible comparisons, and you can feel free to tell me if you agree or disagree. So I'll start by pointing out the importance of free agency in the NFL beyond the obvious. And the obvious is, hey, we just got to add, my team has to add some good players. Free agency now, I would argue, is more important and impactful than ever before because franchises are really forced to build teams, put together teams, blow up teams, and then rebuild them in 2 to 3 year increments. The NFL doesn't exist anymore on some kind of 5-year plan. It doesn't happen anymore. I think that makes it cool for fans and media because teams now, more than ever, and maybe we're just paying more attention than ever, are quickly blowing things up or rebuilding and adding, and it's pretty cool. It's far more reactionary than planning for the future. Does that make sense? And that makes it cool and fun. So they have a hard salary cap, and then, of course, it's a brutal game, and you don't have the luxury of waiting around to build slowly. You don't have any luxury. You have to move and move now, or you lose your job. So you go get a core group of players. This is why I think most sensible and practical and smart teams, this is what they do. And that's not everybody. In fact, that's, less than half the league is practical, smart, and sensible. A lot of them are just flat out dumb, and they stay dumb, and that's why they lose all the time. So you go get a core group of players at the most important positions. You've heard me say this before, but these are building block positions, right? If you just had a board up there, you'd say we got to make sure we have good players, really good players in these spots, and then you work from there. Okay, quarterback, obviously, offensive tackle, wide receiver. You have to have a pass rusher. You have to have a really, really good cornerback, and then you get another receiver or a tight end. So you start there, and you get as much of those things in place as you can. And then you deal. And then you keep adding, you keep subtracting, and you're doing all that to build players around that group of guys I just mentioned. It's a formula of talent, fit, and cost. And you can't have one without the other. So it's really a business now in every 2 years, almost every year now, built on complete risk reward. And that's cool. So think about what's happened so far. Then I'm going to point out the comparisons, and you can see if you agree with them. But think about what's happened so far. The Seattle Seahawks bet that Sam Darnold is better than Geno Smith. The Raiders bet, and they bet a lot, because if you get it wrong, you suck for the next 3 years. You get it right, you end up in the playoffs. You get it really right, you end up deep in the playoffs. So the Raiders then bet that Geno Smith is better than any rookie, at least for the next 2 years. The Steelers might be betting that Aaron Rodgers is better than Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. The Texans bet that they can find more offensive linemen by trading away an expensive lineman. And stuff like that applies to positions other than quarterback, too. They're all making bets. They're all moving. The Dallas Cowboys bet nothing. They bet nothing. They take no risk and see no reward. Everything I was just saying about risk, reward, and moving and building and blowing things up, and it's just a fascinating time. Everything I said just highlights how stuck in the past the Cowboys have become. How it's now plainly obvious, if it wasn't obvious before, and this is beyond the old man jokes, right? Anybody can tell old man Jerry Jones jokes, but the last 2 years, in particular this offseason, okay, this is when anyone that is part of the organization, this is when you have to move. You don't have the luxury of waiting around. They certainly don't. And so this tells you how stuck and immovable the Dallas Cowboys really are in a world when even bad teams move. They're trying to get better. They're trying to bet on stuff. Some play crypto, some play Vanguard, but they're all playing because they have no option. They can't sit there and wait around. Here it is. All right. A general manager in the NFL is like a hedge fund. Like you're running a hedge fund. That's what you do constantly. It doesn't stop, but it certainly doesn't stop once the season ends and before and after you get to the NFL draft. You are running a hedge fund. You have to pay attention and you have to deal. It's always chaotic and it's always moving fast. That's cool. That's what only having 55 players on a roster does. That's what having a hard salary cap really does. That's what having giant $50 billion platform deals really does. So then you've got most teams are run by good hedge fund managers or bad hedge fund managers. The ones that are bad lose it all. The ones that are good, you notice how they just keep showing up in big ways. The general manager of the Dallas Cowboys is a greeter at Wal-Mart. You got hedge fund managers, and then you've got a greeter at Walmart. That's what kind of world it is. Tell me you've got a better comparison. So if you follow a team and you don't know, you're going to say, well, Jeff, I don't know if we're doing the right hedge fund deals or not. You do know if you're a Cowboys fan, you are run by a Walmart greeter. You make no deals. You're not involved in the market, good or bad. You're not in a hedge fund. You're the Walmart greeter getting, I don't know what you make, $14.95 an hour. So you don't know yet if these roster moves are going to work out. You don't know. But you do know you don't sit there. You do know you don't wait because you can't. The business, the industry, the dynamics of it don't allow you to wait because in the NFL, you cannot sit still. It's really cool. It's not an option. You have to tinker all the time. Because in a lot of cases, you end up having to blow up a roster every 2 to 3 years and start over. Dallas does none of those things. None. Hedge fund manager, Walmart greeter. Got it? Here's an example, which I think just tells you everything about the differences in really good organizations, really smart people in the business, those that try to be smart but get it wrong, and then those that are, they're Walmart greeters. This is the Baltimore Ravens general manager, Eric DeCosta. He says Lamar Jackson is a stakeholder. He's a partner in this business. He's earned that right to have the type of input and opinion. It's important, it's necessary, and we always welcome his input. Now, they're talking about how they go about building a roster because they're really good at it. They're not Walmart greeters. They're really good hedge fund managers in Baltimore. Baltimore has bolstered Lamar Jackson's supporting cast 2 days into the negotiating period, retaining left tackle Ronnie Stanley and fullback Patrick Ricard while adding receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Starting with, now this just, again, I know you don't want to get too nerdy about the football part, but everybody can appreciate good businesses that make smart moves, risk takers that get it right. How about this? Compare this to the Walmart greeter. Starting with limited salary cap room of $12 million, the Ravens landed 3 players. This is 2 days they did this. 2. They landed 3 players who've combined for 12 Pro Bowls. But what about the money? I don't know. They keep figuring it out, don't they? So in 2 days, the smart hedge fund manager with the Baltimore Ravens. And by the way, he welcomed his star quarterback, his most prized investment. He welcomed his input, and guess what they did? And he probably made a sales pitch for the organization. They landed 3 players who played in 12 Pro Bowls and did so with the working knowledge and the partnership of their most prized investment. That's their quarterback, Lamar Jackson. I think it's just a perfect example of how it really works, right? I mean, you've worked at a company where you have no idea what's going on, but bad stuff keeps going on, and yet you're a prized employee and you don't know what's going on. That is exactly the difference between the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. One is run by a smart hedge fund manager. The other is run by a guy greeting people at Walmart. Do they still even have those? I don't even know, but you get the point. So I would argue, just to point out management styles, getting it, not getting it, all that stuff. I would argue that Dak Prescott is a lot like Lamar Jackson. Certainly you pay him like it. He's the highest paid player in professional football. Okay, but I'm not saying he's as good. No way I'm going to argue that Dak Prescott is Lamar Jackson. He's not close. But he is the cornerstone of your franchise. Their biggest investment. And they don't do anything to help him. Nothing. The general manager of the Baltimore Ravens said, well, absolutely, I consult with him. You bet we do. We've been talking all along. Of course, he matters to us. He's our most important employee. Yeah, he's going to be in on things. And look what they did. They found 12 Pro Bowls in 2 days. You've never heard the general manager, the Wal-Mart greeter of the Dallas Cowboys, saying any of those things. Never. You've never heard him say about his most important investment, whether you agree with it or not, doesn't matter. He's still their most prized employee, and a good one, too. The guy's a company man. But you never hear him talking about that. You never hear him talk that way. You never see them react that way. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't know who all to blame. I think it's just being that clueless. Dak Prescott took the money. Okay, he took the giant contract. He could have said, you know what, I need to go somewhere else where they're risk takers. I need to go somewhere where they're going to move, man. I got to go somewhere that's not run by the Wal-Mart greeter. And in return, though, for taking the money, he seemed to agree to be professionally stuck at near the bottom of his division. That's what he just seemed to sign off on. So I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not sure who to blame more, Jerry Jones for being the Wal-Mart greeter or Dak Prescott for not saying, I'll sign this deal, but you got to get me some help and I want some input. You shouldn't have to say that like the Ravens do, most smart teams do. But they may both be a great deal of blame here. One's a Wal-Mart greeter and the other one just maybe sit around silently when he shouldn't have been. But he should have dictated the terms. Listen, I'm going to sign this deal. I know you're going to make me rich. But man, here's the thing. I got to start getting some help. And I got to have some input. I have no idea if he did it or not. So it's a fascinating setup. And those comments of a real hedge fund manager, a real risk taker who's getting it right. The fact that he was comfortable enough to say, well, yeah, of course, I talk to my quarterback. I talk to him all the time. We don't do any of these deals without talking to him. We play now to win, man. We don't wait because you can't. People run right by you. And then out of Dallas, like Dak Prescott might be at kids' soccer practice and Jerry Jones might be greeting at Walmart. I don't know. I don't know which one. They still have that little yellow highlighter where they check your receipt. And that's what he does. And then the riskiest move of all, that takes some real stones. The Minnesota Vikings are absolutely rolling the dice. In a way you could never imagine. Nobody is taking as many risks. Now, Dallas is on one end of the spectrum with none. They just sit there. The old man's playing bingo somewhere. The Minnesota Vikings just said, okay, well, we're going to go ahead and put all the chips in the middle of the table. They won 14 games a year ago. They let their quarterback walk out the door. Now, it's pretty a tough sell to tell the owner of a team, we won 14, and he was a rock star 98% of the season, and he's leaving? Okay, let him go. They turned around, and they're betting on a rookie. And they're not just doing that. They're betting on a rookie that played parts of one preseason game over a year ago. That's it. They're betting on a rookie that was injured his entire season. He didn't play at all. They're betting a guy that was the 10th pick in the draft a year ago from a program, Michigan. I know they won the national championship. They didn't throw the ball much at all. In fact, they looked like 1975 football. J.J. McCarthy was the Vikings' 10th pick in the draft. He played most of one preseason game, and that's it. That's it. Here's why that is the riskiest bet of all. If they get it right and he's really good and he can handle the lights and he can handle all that comes with it, that's usually doubtful. But what they get with that is this. They get the Brock Purdy, C.J. Stroud storyline all over again. He's inexpensive because you have these set rookie contracts in the NFL of 4 years, right? So you've got a better part of 3 years to maximize all you can out of a talented rookie while they're relatively inexpensive. Got it? So then you can spend elsewhere. That's what the 49ers did. That's what they're able to do. So if you hit with this kid who's played parts of one preseason game, you're going to win for a couple of years. If you miss, you're in a dumpster fire and everybody gets fired.